week 17 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few tight ends I have as sleepers this week. The first guy, Tyler Conklin of the New York Jets. I know Conklin's been up and down this season here, but with the matchup and with Mike White coming back, this is why I have him as a sleeper, still available right now in 72% of fantasy leagues. So the last few games, it's not eye-popping at all, not big numbers, but it is what it is. Week 14 at Buffalo, 5 catches, 28 yards. Week 15 versus the Lions, to catch 7 yards. And Week 16 versus Jacksonville, 4 catches, 34 yards. So right here, Week 17 at the Seahawks, they give up the second most fantasy points to tight ends on the season. So Conklin's got that going for him. We know tight end's been a weak position for the majority of the season here, with a couple decent weeks from some players. And also Mike White's most likely going to be starting in this game. And at least he's a quarterback that could get the ball to his receivers and his tight end. So right here, I got Tyler Conklin as a sleeper this week. The next tight end, Jordan Akins, Houston Texans. So Akins, he's been on this list a few times this season here, and he's still out there in 99% of fantasy league. We know this Texan team is always trailing a lot in ball games and got a pass, and he's a big target for this team. Week 14 at Dallas, 1 catch, 5 yards. Week 15 versus Kansas City, 3 catches, 22 yards, a touchdown. And Week 16 at Tennessee, 3 catches, 39 yards. So Week 17, another game where they're most likely going to be chasing points. Even though it could be a close divisional matchup with the Jacksonville Jaguars, they do give up the 11th most fantasy points to tight ends on the season. So right here, Jordan Akins, I think, could have a decent ball game, and he's a sleeper option this week. And the third and final tight end I have as a sleeper this week here is Daniel Bellinger of the New York Giants. Early in the season, before he got that eye socket injury, Daniel Bellinger was having a couple good games, and he was a good red zone target as well for this New York Giant team. So the last few games since he's been back, Week 13 versus the Commanders, 5 catches, 24 yards. Week 14 versus Philly, 3 catches, 19 yards. Week 15 of Washington, a catch for 4 yards. And Week 16 of Minnesota, 2 catches, 27 yards, a 2-point conversion, and a fumble loss. So right here, Week 17, a mediocre matchup versus the Indianapolis Colts. I only expect you to use Bellinger in the deepest of leagues or a super flex league or something. Right now, available in 98% of fantasy leagues. But if you need an option, he's a sleeper at tight end this week, so that's a few tight ends I have as sleepers here for Week 17 of the fantasy football season.